why don't you start and tell the story? Because I really want to hear how you interpret it.
Yeah, I'm extremely conflicted about this movie, but it essentially is the story of a group of women in a I'm going to assume it's an Ammonite community. Um, all the men have been carted off to jail because they were found out to have been basically rapists and rapists basically. They've been abusing, drugging the women in the community, having sex with them. Many got pregnant and so on. And so the situation has gotten so out of control that the women, while the men are in jail, the women are gathering together and they have to make a decision whether they're going to stay and stand up to the men or whether they're going to leave the community altogether. And so there are religious implications, there's family implications, there's discussions of how old of their children they should bring along. They want to bring the young kids, but how old would the oldest be that they can take? And then it gets into that Me Too discussion, which is pretty much what this film is about. And women talking is probably the most apropos title. The movie is about these women talking, and that's pretty much all they're doing. And I would say I'm very conflicted about this movie, and in two ways. One is, as a Christian myself, um, it portrays Christianity, the Ammonite community here, um, as very bad. That it's basically the acts of the bad people taint the entire religion of Christianity, and that's something that kind of bothered me throughout. But on the other hand, the things that these women have experienced and these things that the women have talked about, I've seen happen in churches I've attended, churches I've belonged to, and in stories of people of abuse coming out. And I'm frustrated by the fact that it's that the entire Christianity as a whole is being painted as misogynist and rapist because of the acts of really horrible people, which I know exist within Christianity, but at the same time never balances off with people I would consider absolute saints who are Christians. And um and so I really come to this movie feeling again conflicted. It saddens me that this movie exists. I do think the conversation is an important one to be had. I'm just saddened by the conclusions it ultimately comes to.
Well, a couple things that you forgot to mention, and that's a very good description of what happens in the movie without any spoilers.
Mhm.
For the first half of the movie, you have no idea what's going on. Maybe first third,
Yeah.
like what are they even talking about? Because they give you no context. It's a bunch of women in a barn and they're voting, and then they have Ben Whishaw plays this
Teacher.
he's teacher, and none of them can read. None of the women can read, so they do everything in like pictogram. But they have very good vocabularies. That was something that kind of threw me off. Like, if they can't read, why is their vocabulary so good? They enunciate, they speak so they're so well spoken. So that would I would assume someone who's well read, except none of them um, say they can read. And so for the first third of the movie, you have no idea what are they talking about. When it's finally revealed, it's like, oh yes, okay, this is what's happening. But it's what it is it's a this movie is for a very specific audience. It's specifically for abused women that are trying to make a choice about what they should do in their lives. That is a very narrow audience. Anyone else watching is going to be I think it's rough to watch. Any film that that includes, abuse is just it's difficult, right? But specifically because they really go into detail in the film about what the consequences of the choice. Do we leave? How do we leave? And even for the first half of the movie, you're not even sure if it's taking place in the present. It could be taking place sort of like, in the past, and then suddenly you
Mhm.
see a truck come by. So there's this weird way that everything is revealed and unfolds. And you have Frances McDormand's character who barely says anything in the movie. I don't even does she have lines in the movie?
She does have lines, but she's only in two scenes in the movie.
Yeah, very briefly. She's a producer on it as well as Brad Pitt. It's directed by Sarah Polley, who I think is a phenomenal actress. And come into her own as a director. I think the problem with this film is it's almost the same as She Said,
Mm-hmm.
in the sense that this is a very interesting, very good movie that is going to completely fail and no one is going to watch it. And this is why this is sad. Okay. There are a lot of women that need to hear this message and they will never see this movie. Okay. This movie is made to win awards. It's made for because it has this message. I do like that one of the things the film does is it goes into so much, it feels like exhaustive detail about exactly what is going on and what going through the minutia about the decisions. But this is an art film that is going to appeal to an incredibly limited audience. I can't recommend it. I can't recommend it for those reasons. I almost feel like this is going to sound crazy, but if the producers of this film actually cared about the messages in this film, because it's based on a book, right?
Yeah,
It's an
I
adaptation.
believe so. Yeah.
But if they cared about really the messages getting out, they would have put it in maybe a movie, I hate to say this, that had more broad appeal and was more entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, this comes off very much like a play. It's
Right.
people sitting around and talking. They don't. There's not a lot of locations. Maybe 3 locations and one outside shot. One thing, I'm gonna get murdered on the internet for this, but it's based on a true story about Mennonite, the Mennonite community, not the Ammonite.
Right. There you go.
I misspoke there.
Okay, so
And
that actually
it is revealed that the film does take place at 2010.
yes, you do get to that later. I actually like that a lot. I
Yeah,
actually like the fact that the
the slow
movie,
reveal. You're saying
it's a slow reveal. You don't know what they're at the slow reveal. You don't even know what they're talking about. Then it's revealed what they're talking about. Then it's revealed what the stakes are. Then it's revealed that they're in present day. And I think it's an excellent film that unfortunately no one's going to see.
Yeah, I mean,
And
honestly, I would recommend it to. I mean, I
and
hate to
it's hard
say
to
it, but
recommend.
yeah, I would say, it's sad to say, but I know women, young boys who have been abused by leaders of the church, people I knew even,
Mhm.
and I would almost recommend this film to them to kind of give them kind of a little bit of hope and strength through their recovery, because again, it's sad, but it's sad that this movie exists, but it's sad that these things actually have happened.
Well,
And
and I will say this, the other thing, Sarah Polley, I think, is a phenomenal, like, she did a great job on this. The cast is excellent.
mhm.
Claire Foy, Jesse Buckley, um, a really exceptional cast. So, uh, you know, it's just unfortunate that this film is it's I feel like no one's going to see it. It's an awards movie that has gotten mixed reception. I don't know if it's gotten, I mean, has it gotten any it's gotten nominations for CCA, is that correct?
Yeah, Jessie Buckley was nominated Best Actress, I think.
Sarah
I have to
Polley for
confirm it.
director.
Yeah, definitely. I believe that. Yeah, I'll pull it up here.
Yeah, okay,
Um,
cool. But I just want to say, like, if this is a rough film, it's it doesn't sugarcoat. One thing I thought was very effective, she doesn't show any of the violence, but you
yeah,
do see the
the aftermath.
you
The after,
see the effects. So a rough film, not a date movie, not a family movie, not an entertaining movie. This is the eat your vegetables version of a movie. Um,
yeah.
and
Well, yeah. I mean, my biggest problem is just it's the tone is it's an indictment on Christianity basically, and
right.
that's my biggest problem with it. In terms of CCA nominations, Best Picture, Best Supporting Actress Jessie Buckley, Best Acting Ensemble, Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay from the book, and then Best Score.
Well, there you go. So that is it's sort of a non-recommendation. It's one of those things of like, oh my God, you have to see this movie, Women Talking. It's about women and then like the more you tell someone about it, they're not going to want to see it. Look, I'm being brutally honest, and almost feel like it's a similar review to She Said, like
Mhm.
really good movie, no one's gonna see it, and therefore the message kind of gets lost.